Hi guys, I just wanted to make a quick video to review the calculator section of your summer assignment so that you could watch it more than once if you need to, or just have it as a reference to look back on. So I want to make sure that your mode is set correctly for this class. So find your mode button, and we're always going to use radians. So that's the fourth line down. You want to hit enter on the left so that radian is highlighted. If you do take physics, you guys have to use degrees, so you'll have to toggle back and forth between the classes, which is a pain, but in calculus we always use radians. Other thing I wanted to mention before we get started is that our final answers, if they're decimals, should always be rounded to 3 decimals. So you can either round or truncate, which means you cut it off after 3 decimals. You can have more than 3 decimals, but not less, and you will actually lose the answer point if you do not use at least 3 decimals. So very important that we practice that from day one. So we're going to use the same function to answer all the questions here. So go to your y equals button. We're going to type in the 4/5, and to get the fraction form, you're going to hit alpha y equals and choose number 1, numerator over denominator. So we've got 4/5 x to the power of 3 minus 26x plus 1. And you'll notice that in my y2 I have a 0 typed in, and that's going to help us do an intersection or a solution later on. So go ahead and do the same thing. Next, we're going to adjust our window. So we're going to hit window, and depending on what you did last in your calculator, it could look different from mine, but we are asked to do a domain, which are x values of -6 to 6. We're going to use an x scale of 1, which just means they jump by 1. And for the range, or y values, we're going to use -70 to +70, and again, a scale of 1. So I picked this particular window to give us a nice visual of this cubic function. So go ahead and hit graph with me, and you should be able to see those nice curves that we're expecting, along with 3 solutions through the x-axis. And you'll see on mine that the red line, that y2 equals 0, comes in right after it. All right, so we're asked to do some things with this graph, or actually find some values. And the nice thing about all of the functions that we are going to look at in calculus, they're all in the same menu. So ones that you've already learned, plus the new ones we're going to learn in our AP Calculus class, are all in the second trace, or what we call the calculate menu. So the first one they asked for is for the minimum. So I went to second trace. I'm going to choose number 3. I see the minimum is towards the right side of my graph, or in the 4th quadrant. So notice how it's asking me for a left bound. So it's saying, well, give me kind of the left boundary of where that minimum might be. So I'm going to go somewhere on the left of my minimum. Doesn't matter how near or far, but I'm going to hit enter once. Then it says, okay, give me a right bound, or go through the minimum and give it basically a boundary on the right side of the minimum. Again, doesn't matter how close or how far away from that minimum it is. And then it says, do you have a guess? No, I don't. That's why I'm asking you. So you hit enter one more time. And I know I have the final answer minimum when it says minimum. So if you don't see that yet, you're not done. So here is our result. I'm going to write down those values rounded to 3 decimal places. Okay, so our minimum is 3.291, comma, -56.051. And you might guess that finding the maximum is a pretty similar process. So this time we're going to go back to second trace, or the calculate menu. This time we're going to choose number 4 for maximum. And I noticed that the maximum is towards the left of my window, or in the second quadrant. So I'm going to move my blinkers away as fast as I can over there. And again, it's asking me for a left bound. So as long as I'm on the left side of the maximum, I'm good to go. Hit enter one time, then travel back over the maximum, or through the maximum, to the right side, and hit enter one time to give the right bound. And then I never have a guess, so hit enter one more time. Again, now that we see maximum, we know we have our final answer. To find my solutions, or x-intercepts, I'm going to go to second trace, number 5, and this is why we had that y2 equals 0, to get an intersection with the x-axis. So get close to the intersection and hit enter 3 times. Then you'd repeat that process for the other 2 intersections. For our function value, we do second trace number 1 value at -0.891, hit enter, and there's your y value. Great job.